and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mode for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our Game Week 6 team selection video. A video where we've got to look at our Game Week 5 scores, unfortunately, and then go on to see how we're going to navigate Game Week 6 with everything that's going on right now. It's a big week for transfers, no doubt about that, and I will be making one this week. The question is, what will I be doing? But guys, if you do enjoy this one, please do make sure you drop a like before you disappear, and do subscribe if you're new around here as well. Let's have a look at the Game Week 5 scores. Let's just get this done, okay? Come on. Yeah, it's not good. It's really not good. 31 points, -4 taken, and the rank has kind of basically been cut in 4. Yeah, just outside the 2 million now, which is just unbelievable. How could this possibly happen? It was a terrible game week. Let's be completely honest. Wasn't expecting to play Kabore, but actually it was one of the stars of the show there with 2 points. That was more than most of my players managed to get, really, wasn't it? Yeah, just an absolute tragedy of a game week, and my moves really not paying off in the immediate term. Anyway, obviously I got Heung-min Son for Foden, and I downgraded Watkins to Evan Ferguson, which, to be fair, I am still excited about that player moving forward, but I basically took the punt. I think in Son, you know, he's definitely a player to be owning right now, and then with Ferguson, it was like, I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be starting against Manchester United, but I think there is a chance that he is going to be available for that game, and I think Brighton will score goals against Manchester United. Now, Brighton did score goals against Manchester United, but unfortunately Ferguson was not able to start that game, maybe not fully fit quite yet, but was able to come on in the second half. So a good indication for the future. I didn't buy Ferguson for just 1 week only, let's remember that. So yeah, in the end, I'm glad I made sure I recommended Alvarez to you and made it very clear that Alvarez was the sensible transfer to go for, but I fancied a little bit of spice in my own team. And remember, guys, this is my own team, and I've got to own the mistakes for myself. But what I can't do is own the mistakes in other people's teams. So yeah, Alvarez was the move for you guys. Ferguson was the move for me. Let's see which one pays off in the longer term. But so far, no good. Yeah, a tragic game week, and I'm very keen to move on from it. So can we do that? Yeah, let's do that now. Alright, so guys, let's run through my Game Week 6 team. I've got 1 free transfer, 1.2 million in the bank, which is a nice amount of money to be playing around with. So I'm pretty happy about that. Gives us a lot of options. So let's start off in goal. We have got Johnston. So Johnston is going to make it into net this game week. Home game against Fulham. It's a very good fixture for him. The question is, will this finally be the game week where Johnston gets dropped for Henderson? It is just a waiting game. It's going to happen eventually. We don't know when. I'm just hoping I can hold on to Johnston for just 1 more game week. If Johnston can just start this 1 more game week, I think I'll be a very happy man, and I'll make do with Turner for the rest of the game weeks. The problem is, Turner, who is my backup goalkeeper, plays against Man City away from home this game week, so I'm not really keen to have Turner come on, but you never know, could make a couple of saves in that game at least. I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world, but yeah, Johnston is definitely a problem area. I'm just hoping that it works out and I can hold on to him until I wildcard, which is likely to be in Game Week 10. Still thinking of sticking to that Game Week 10 wildcard. Team, game, strategy, but Johnston and Turner are probably going to have to keep me going until then. Next up in defense, Chilwell. Yeah, another disappointing player recently. Last game week, he didn't do anything. He didn't even start the game. He came on the pitch and he got a yellow card. A fat 0 points for him. A bagel, a donut, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't looking good, was it? But I'm not as worried about Chilwell as maybe certain other people are. I think, like, yes, he did get rotated for tactical reasons last game, but did the tactics work last game? The answer is no. Mudryk, who was kind of Chilwell's replacement in that team, did he work? Not really. He kind of looked out of his depth a little bit there. So actually, even though that last game, it was an indication of maybe Pochettino trying to change things a little bit, it didn't work. So maybe Chilwell's going to come straight back into the team for the following game. And when he is on the pitch, yes, he hasn't shown quite as much promise as he did in the opening couple of fixtures, but he is still taking shots. He is still creating for his teammates. He is still on the odd set piece here and there as well. So there is still some positive to be taken about Chilwell. And although I'd be very happy to sacrifice this player and sell this player, he would not make a wildcard team for me. He's not a player I feel like is an absolute priority must-sell kind of player. And maybe I'm alone in that one. I wonder if any of you guys agree with me. Do you think Chilwell is as much of an urgent sell as, you know, certain other people are saying? I don't know. What's your guys' opinion on that one? I don't think it's all that bad. Like, you wouldn't want to have him ideally, but he's fine. He's fine to have for now. Next up, Purvis Estupiñán, a player who I'm very, very glad I've kept onto. Bournemouth at home up next, and that's going to be a great fixture for him. Obviously, he missed last game week because he was late returning from international duty, so yeah, nothing to worry about there. Estupiñán is not injured, he hasn't been dropped, anything like that. He is going to be straight back into the team for this Bournemouth game, and that's going to be a very, very good fixture, an opportunity for him to get some attacking returns, which is what's so great about Estupiñán there as well. I think clean sheets are also on the cards for Estu, so looking forward to seeing what he can produce. I think as people are starting to move away from certain defenders, maybe moving towards Newcastle defenders, and maybe already sold Estupiñán, or maybe giving up on Estupiñán after his blank last week, he might actually become a little bit more differential than he was before, because previously it's like everyone had Estupiñán. Maybe some people don't, and maybe we can actually get a little bit of advantage from having him. We've got Udogie in the team currently as well. Not massively happy about it, to be honest. Arsenal away from home. I'm not feeling it. I think Spurs will concede in this game, you know, perhaps even a couple of goals. And I don't really fancy Udogie to really be able to get involved too heavily in that game either. Arsenal are a very, very good team at the moment. And yeah, although Spurs have been great in the attack, I think an away game against Arsenal right now is never a good fixture. It's never a fixture you want to play. So yeah, for that reason, I'm a little bit concerned about Udogie, and I'm not really convinced about playing him. And I'm thinking about actually benching him. But I'll show you what's on my bench in just one moment. I think in this current setup, I perhaps play Udogie, but I'm far from confident about that one. In midfield, we've got Heung-min Son. If anyone's scoring against Arsenal, it's probably going to be this guy. He is probably, as an Arsenal fan, the player I'm most worried about on the counter-attack. Obviously, Arsenal play with an extremely high line, and Son is just the kind of player who might be able to exploit that if Spurs are able to get on the ball enough and kind of play those balls through to him and get him on the counter-attack, because I do feel like that is a potential vulnerability of Arsenal's, and Son is the perfect player to exploit that, really. We already saw with Rashford a couple of weeks ago how he was able to exploit that gap in behind the defence, and Son, I think it could be a very similar situation there. So let's see what happens there. He's definitely a player I would love to hold on to for future game weeks, but this is probably not the ideal fixture for Spurs players in general, but haven't completely given up on those Spurs guys. I still think they can get something out of this game. That, you know, they're playing well as a team in general. The Spurs players I do have were just kind of unfortunate not to get the FPL returns last game week. But Spurs in general, you know, you'd still feel pretty confident about them as a team, wouldn't you? So yeah, let's get this Arsenal game out of the way. I think we've got some very, very good attacking returns on the horizon for Son. Next up, Marcus Rashford, a player who I'm actually very, very keen on right now. Obviously, he has just got an assist in the Champions League game there as well, despite not really doing too much in that game. But yeah, that basically means he's had 4 attacking returns in his last 4 games, which is not too bad, really. And the next fixture is against Burnley, so that's also a really nice fixture. Burnley, another team who play with a very high line, but the difference is with Burnley is that they're not as good defensively. So not only do they leave a lot of space in behind, they also can't really recover it quite as well. And you know, obviously, other teams get enough of the ball to actually exploit it a little bit more. So the same as we saw Son a couple of weeks ago, dominating Burnley, I feel like it might be Rashford's turn to do the exact same thing. And with Højlund in there, I think that's going to really benefit Rashford as well. So this is one of the players who I'm actually more excited about in this team this game week. I think this is one of the players who could score potentially big this week. So Rashford, I know he's been probably not very popular, not very, people kind of frustrated with him as an FPL asset. I'm not right now. I'm actually kind of feeling kind of optimistic about him. Next up, Saka. Always reason to be optimistic about him. A goal and assist in the Champions League, and also continuing his streak of attacking returns in the Premier League as well. So a really reliable player here, and I do think that Tottenham, the way they play football, Arsenal are going to have chances to score against them. They really are, and you would bank on Saka being involved in those goals as well. So this one, again, a player who I think can score well this game week. It's a shame that everyone has him. Yeah, maybe won't be able to gain that much from owning Saka, but I feel like he could do quite well. I wouldn't even be against owning other Arsenal attackers in this game. I think, you know, the likes of Gabriel Jesus, if he plays, he could do really well in this game against Spurs. Trossard, if Martinelli is going to be injured for a while, might be the play there. let's see what happens in the press conferences. But yeah, in general, Arsenal players looking good for this game week. Bruno Fernandes, here's a player I'm not as confident in as I am for Rashford, but you never know with those penalties and the set pieces and, you know, the creativity that Bruno offers to the team and the long shots as well. He's always up for taking a little long shot there. It could come off. He has the quality. We know how good Bruno Fernandes is as a football player. So despite Manchester United's bad form, in attack, they're still not doing too badly. You know, they lost to Bayern Munich, but they scored 3 goals in the process. You know, they are in a team in a bad situation, but I still do think that their attackers do still hold a bit of value. Their defence, no way. Get rid of the defenders from your Manchester United assets. But the attackers kind of actually feel a little bit of confidence in them. But I am Team Rashford more than I am Team Bruno right now, if I'm totally honest with you guys. And we're going to finish off this midfield with Maddison, a tough fixture for him against Arsenal. But again, a really quality player who's on all those set pieces, and it is the key to unlocking a lot of the things that Spurs are doing right now. So another player who is going to be dangerous. If this is a big derby, a high-scoring game, then we are going to see the likes of Son, Maddison and Saka all involved. And that is kind of what I'm hoping for as an FPL manager, that this is a high-scoring game, which again is maybe a reason to remove Udogie from my starting 11. Let's move up front. We've got Erling Haaland, of course, against Nottingham Forest. It's a very nice fixture indeed. We all know that he is an absolute essential player, so we won't talk about him too much. But the player I am most excited about in my FPL team this week, without a shadow of a doubt, is Evan Ferguson. And I'm glad I bought him for the very reason that he makes me excited to play FPL. And I feel like that is a huge part of what FPL should be all about. And I can sit here and give advice as much as I like. And I try and do that. I try and give sensible advice, you know, like say by Alvarez. But for me, I want to make sure I'm having fun whilst playing. And that's really important to me, to keep me engaged with the game, keep me, you know, in good spirits. Even with the bad game weeks, you know, you can still be excited to play and excited to watch football and excited to watch different teams. And buying a player like Evan Ferguson, now that I know that he is not like majorly injured or anything like that, he was able to play minutes against Manchester United last week. He's going to be more than likely back in the starting 11 against Bournemouth. This could be huge. It really could be huge because the guy's ceiling is enormous and I'm just excited to have him in my FPL team. I'm excited to watch him play. He's a fantastic football player with so much potential. He's only going to get better. And I just can't wait to see what he and the rest of the Brighton attack manage to do over the next 3 game weeks. It's good. It's good stuff. So yeah, excited about Ferguson. Maybe I'm gassing him up too much. Maybe you guys think he's just going to get benched again or something like that. But yeah, I don't think so. I think he's starting and I think he could do really well. So fingers crossed on that one. It is my differential in my team, but I like having a bit of that in my team. That's just me. Some of you guys are going to want to play things a bit more safe, and that's probably the sensible thing to do. But for me, this is what FPL is all about. You know, you want at least one player in your team, which is just not boring, you know, and that's what Ferguson does for me. Let's go on to the bench, guys. We've got Turner against Man City. Like I said, not keen on playing him. We've got Kabore against Wolves. Maybe small potential to play him ahead of Udogie. Could Luton Town get a clean sheet? On paper, no, but it could happen. Like, they only conceded 1 goal against Fulham. It looked like they were going to keep a clean sheet at one point. They got through a decent amount of the game before conceding a goal. So I guess that's something. And Fulham a better attack than Wolves? I don't know, maybe not, maybe they're about similar, but this is a home game, and Kabore, once again, showing a little bit of creativity in that Luton team. He could easily have got an assist in that game. He could have got an assist or 2 throughout this season so far, actually. I think he's thrown a little bit of creative spark, so I don't mind playing Kabore, to be honest. It's not an ideal situation, though, and I don't know if I want to back myself into a corner like that. We've got Archer against Newcastle and Baldock against Newcastle. Archer, you know, against a tough defence like that, not really feeling it. And Baldock, yeah, come on, let's be honest about Baldock. He is probably not going to play, is he, because of that injury that he's got going on right now. So, yeah, we need to make a transfer. I'm not going to stick with what I've got. I want to keep things moving. I want to, you know, keep moving towards the team that I want to build. And what I want to do is basically identify the players, the players who I am willing to sacrifice in this team, because a lot of the players I'm not really willing to part ways with, and B, I want to figure out which players I want and see if there are any matches there which I can make work with my 1 free transfer and 1.2 million in the bank. And this is the situation I've come up with. So in terms of transfer targets, there's only really, I would say, 5 players that I'm very keen to bring in this game week. These are my 5 transfer targets. Anyone outside of this, I'm not really interested in that much. You know, sure, they're okay. There's a lot of good players outside of these 5, but realistically, they're not players I would necessarily go for right now. So Alvarez, Mbumo, and the 3 Newcastle defenders, basically, Trippier, Schär, and Botman. These are the 5 players I'd quite like to add into my team, and it's just a case of trying to find some kind of match of which players I could sacrifice in order to get these players in. So we've got the likes of Johnston. Well, there's no goalkeepers I really want to buy right now, so I feel like we leave him in net. Like, the best case scenario switching goalkeepers is I gain maybe 1 or 2 points per game week. I want something a little bit more high-tech than that, I guess. Chilwell could go out, and he could quite easily be sacrificed for, you know, multiple players here. I can afford to go Chilwell to Trippier, for example. That works really well. 0.7 million spent out of my 1.2 in the bank, and that would be done. I would have Chilwell out, and I'd have Trippier in. That could be pretty interesting. Definitely one I'm considering. We could take Bruno Fernandes out, drop him all the way down to a Brian Mbumo. I would be happy to do that as well. I think that move would improve my team. But ahead of this Burnley game, is it the right moment? Is it the right moment to sell Bruno Fernandes? Probably not. The other midfielders, I'm not really willing to sacrifice. I need Son. I need Maddison for this Luton and Fulham game, and even that Liverpool game as well. I want these Spurs players for there. I can't just think with one game week in mind. And then after maybe this game week, maybe that's the time to sacrifice a Rashford or a Bruno. Possibly like something like that. Saka's not going either, of course. So yeah, it's kind of Bruno to Mbumo or nothing. But I don't know if I'm fully convinced by that one. In terms of my bench, I could maybe make a move there. Could Archer go to Alvarez? Well, not really, not without making 2 transfers. So unfortunately for me, because I'm not going to sell Ferguson, I feel like I probably just have to stick with Ferguson. I don't think Alvarez is going to be able to come into my team at this present moment. So, going to have to deal with Alvarez. But, to be honest, for this game week at least, I think Ferguson is just as much as an enticing prospect as Alvarez is, potentially. Let's see what happens there. But Ferguson has more bonus point potential there, more goal scoring potential as well in that team. So I feel like although Alvarez probably will clock up the assist and is much safer, probably has a higher base level points, I do think Ferguson just has that explosivity where he really could do really well. So yeah, I definitely see the appeal of each player, but I'll stick with what I've got. Thank you very much. But Bulldog is the last player who I could talk about here because he's 4 million, he's injured, and I could afford to switch him to Fabian Schär, fair enough. But I could create a little bit of a rotation scenario where I actually sell Bulldog for Botman. And that actually works quite well. I could bring in Botman for Bulldog, and that would mean I wouldn't have to play Udogie anymore. I could not play Udogie for the next 2 game weeks. Bulldog will come in, play those 2 games, and then after that, Udogie would come back in and play against Luton and Fulham, and Botman would continue to play in those game weeks, and I could actually afford to bench Estupinian when he plays Liverpool and Man City. So that would work really well. It would give me a really nice rotation in defence. The only problem with that would be that I would have to stick with Chilwell, which is unfortunate. But again, Chilwell, if he starts and plays against Fulham and Burnley, could work out well. I mean, Chelsea, technically, their defensive numbers are absolutely fine. So I'm not worried about clean sheets, really. I'm more worried about Chilwell starting or not. If he starts, probably going to get a couple of clean sheets, and attacking returns are still on the cards. So, like I said, I am not as worried about Chilwell as maybe a lot of other people are. So therefore, maybe for me, the Chilwell to Trippier move is not the one, which kind of really leaves us with Bulldog to Botman and creating that 4-man rotation in my defence that basically covers me against those rough fixtures. And yeah, maybe that could work out really well for me. So yeah, let's go with that. Let's go Bulldog out, Botman in. I've spent 0.5 in order to make this transfer, so a little bit of money has gone out of my bank, but we created a nice rotation situation that I can work with up until my wildcard, where we can completely restructure the defence after that. But this is good. This is really nice. Suddenly, I look at this team and I'm not as worried. We've got that Udogie with a horrible fixture against Arsenal out of the way, and now everything looks a little bit better. The only difficult fixtures in this really are Son and Maddison against Arsenal, and you can maybe say Chilwell against Aston Villa is not ideal either, but over the next few game weeks between now and my Game Week 10 wildcard, the team looks good, it looks strong, and I know we've said that before, and you never really know what's going to happen in FPL, but we can make our best guess, and we can try and have a bit of fun whilst doing that. And going for a player like Ferguson has given me that fun, and I think it's given me a license to go for a player a little bit more boring, like Botman. But I suppose there's nothing boring about getting FPL points, and that would be quite nice to do as well, wouldn't it? So that is going to be what my team will look like for Game Week 6. We'll throw a captain's armband on you guessed it, Erling Haaland. And I'm going to put the vice captain this week on Marcus Rashford. I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy for that, but I actually do have a degree of confidence in Rashford ahead of this Burnley game. I think he could do really well in that one, and that's pretty much going to be my team. So before we conclude this video, let's see what the AI thinks and whether it thinks this is kind of the right move for me to make, and yeah, just see if the data backs up these kind of decisions, you know. Okay guys, so this is my team pre-transfers on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool. Obviously an amazing tool that's really helpful for trying to plan out your team. Really recommend it. And if you want to go check this out for yourself, there is a link at the top of the description there. And you can try this out absolutely for free. And then if you really like it, you can even get yourself a free trial and access the full version, all the bells and whistles, and all of the other tools from Fantasy Football Hub as well. So try it out for free. Then grab the free trial if you like it, and then maybe you'll want to keep the service. I definitely would if I were you. So yeah, this is my team, 92% team rating, which is not as high as it has been in the past. Chilwell and Udogie letting the side down a little bit, and the differential Ferguson maybe bringing down the rating a little bit there as well. But hey, let's go for something different. I'm happy with it. Let's look at the suggested transfers to see what they suggest to me. And I haven't actually checked this so far. I have no idea what the suggested transfers are going to be. So I'm just hoping it's similar to what I was thinking anyway, and yeah, maybe that will kind of justify it a little bit more. Okay, so the first recommendation is actually Chilwell to Trippier, which is definitely one of the moves I was just like firmly considering. So yeah, it's good to know that I was along the right path, you know, getting in those Newcastle defenders. But like I said, I'm not sure I want to sell Chilwell, so let's have a look and see if it can create an alternate transfer suggestions for me. Okay, that's more like it, isn't it? Bulldog out and Botman in. Looks like Botman's going to get a price drop soon, so I maybe actually need to get on with this. By the time you watch this video, I may have already made this transfer even. So, yeah, that possibly does look like the play. Let's click on the make transfer button and see what it rates my team now. Okay, so the transfer is made. I'm going to click Optimize Team. Interestingly, it has put Kabore in my starting 11. It thinks he's going to score slightly more than Udogie. So, yeah, that pretty much says everything about Udogie as a pick this game week, doesn't it? But we're going to optimize it and see what it is coming up with. And yeah, Botman goes into defense there. And yeah, still on a 92% team rating for this game week. If we just optimize it for the next few game weeks, we'll see what happens there. So Kabore is going to come in for that game week. That works pretty well with his double game week. We can optimize it here. Yeah, well, wow, we're already up to a 94% there. Optimize it for this game week. Yeah, it's starting to look a bit better. Let's just optimize for Game Week 10, even though I'm going to be wildcarding there, to be fair. But yeah, suddenly, okay, yeah, this looks better. And it's kind of figured out my defensive rotation as well. So we've got Stupinian, Botman, Chilwell for this week. The next game week will be Kabore, Botman, and Stupinian, with Chilwell actually dropping to the bench there. But it has actually, interestingly, put Ferguson on the bench and Archer on the pitch, which is fun. Let's move on to Game Week 8. It'll be Stupinian, Botman, Udogie for that week. And then Game Week 9, it says Botman, Udogie, Stupinian for that game week. So that game week is possibly the one I struggle with the most because Chilwell plays against Arsenal at home. Kabore is against Forest, but maybe game week 9 would be maybe a week that I would consider making a defensive transfer, I guess. We'll have to wait and see about that one, to be fair. But yeah, okay, this is shaping up good, and it's good to see on an actual screen like how my rotation would perhaps start to work out. Yeah, like it. I'm liking the sound of that transfer more and more as we talk about it more. It gives me that flexibility, gives me that extra option, doesn't it? So that is my team for game week 6. If you enjoyed watching this video, please do drop a like. Hopefully it helped you out with your decisions a little bit at least, or at least gave you some insight on of where my mind is at right now. Obviously everyone's mind is racing all over the place. A bit of fun though, isn't it? FPL is just a game. Try and remember that. Keep telling yourself that, Dan. Okay, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and yeah, hopefully guys, I will see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.